Today is Tuesday, February 14th, 2012, and Hearts and Hooves Day. Happy days to all of you bronies who actually have someone to spend it with. For those of you who don't, you can spend it with me, as I'm spending it with you. Today, we have Today, Tomorrow, and Forever by Chopper's Top Hat, in the first of the Reader's Picks. Now, before I begin, the one thing I will say is, I have read the alternate ending. I'm not going to do that on here. I like the original story best. Twilight Sparkle let out a deep sigh. She didn't want to admit it, but it was no use denying the horrible truth. "Spike!" she cried out, her voice anguished. "I have nothing to read." "What? Yes, you do," said the small purple dragon, gesturing at the hundreds of volumes which adorned the walls of Twilight's library. "You've got tons of books here you haven't even touched." "Well, sure, encyclopedias and spellbooks and histories, but this library has a serious deficit of good fiction, and that's what I'm in the mood for right now." Well, I could tell you a story," offered Spike. "Once, there was an awesome dragon superhero. In his secret identity, he worked for this fussy nerd who—" "Seriously, Spike," said Twilight. "Has the mail come yet? I ordered a bunch of new books that should have come in today." "Huh?" said Spike. "Didn't you see the slip that Derpy left you with the mail yesterday?" "What slip?" asked Twilight. "I don't remember any." She glanced at the previous day's mail, most of which sat unopened on her desk. Poking out between two envelopes was a small green slip. "Oh, I must have missed it." Twilight picked up the slip and read the following. "Dear friends, I'm terribly sorry, but there will be no mail tomorrow due to a personal matter. Normal service will resume on the following day. Yours in clams, Derpy Hooves." "She's always so much more eloquent in her writing than her speech," said Twilight, "even if she's still not perfectly coherent unless she's writing a poem. Is it unusual for her to take a day off?" "It's not just unusual," said Spike. "It's unheard of. Applejack was telling me that in all the years Derpy's been Ponyville's mail mare, she's never once missed a day." "Wow," said Twilight. "I mean, I knew Derpy was a hard worker, but... well, then I wonder why she would take the day off so suddenly like that." Not far away, Ponyville's post office, which doubled as Derpy's home, bustled with activity. Derpy was pleased with herself. The banner was hung, the decorations were in place, and the cake had turned out beautifully. It had taken 3 tries, she'd never baked before, but everything was proceeding perfectly. In all honesty, she probably didn't need to take the day off to do this. She could have asked Pinkie Pie to set up the decorations for her, but that seemed wrong somehow. Today was a day for family, no one else. "Rhinos and flan," she said to herself. "Almost time for liftoff. Aboard, Houston." It probably would have also taken less time if Derpy hadn't been fighting back her emotions the entire time. Every streamer she hung, every balloon she put up, served as a reminder of what today meant, and of what would happen at sundown. Everything was ready now. Dinky would be home from school any minute. Dinky Hooves pranced happily down the path to the home she shared with her mother. The small, light purple unicorn couldn't wait to tell her mom what had happened at lunch today. The Scootaloo's parents probably would be less pleased to hear that their daughter had attempted to sing her highest note and now the school needed new windows. But it was just the sort of story that always made her mom laugh. She burst through the front door, but for the first time she could remember, her mom wasn't there to greet her. Instead, there was a little card taped to the wall reading simply, "Dining room." Dinky opened the door to the small room where she and her mom ate dinner. It was pitch black. "Mom?" asked Dinky. "Is everything okay?" "Surprise!" yelled Derpy as the lights went on and confetti fell from the ceiling. She flew over to her daughter and gave her a big hug. "Super narwhal, my muffin!" "Mom?" asked Dinky, happy but confused. "What's going on?" Derpy stepped back, looking at her daughter with tremendous pride. On her face was a smile more bright and happy than Dinky had ever seen. But then there were her eyes. Dinky was probably the only pony in Equestria who could read her mother's eyes. Their odd appearance made it difficult for any pony else to understand them, but Dinky found that once you got the hang of it, Derpy had 2 of the most expressive eyes she had ever seen. And today, they seemed to be the eyes of a mare who was in incredible pain. "Mommy, are you sure everything's all right?" Derpy nodded vigorously. "Shoes! Shoes!" She pointed at the table. There was a small cake with a slice already cut out and put on a plate waiting for Dinky. Carrot cake, her favorite. Derpy ran over to the table and pulled out Dinky's chair.
"Rest your beads," she said. "Styrofoam prepares the beatbox."
Dinky sat down. She found it weird that Derpy was throwing her a party at random, but that wasn't completely out of character for her mom. She was always doing little things for her daughter. This was just a big little thing. Derpy and Dinky talked happily over cake and tea. Dinky told her about the broken windows, and her mom seemed so interested that she went on to tell her every detail about her day. She didn't normally do that, but Derpy seemed so enraptured, hanging on Dinky's every word, that Dinky felt compelled to go on. The hours whiled away as mother and daughter happily chatted. Then suddenly, Derpy spun around and looked at the clock on the wall.
"Tesla coils," she
explained.
"It's dangerous to go alone."
She produced a box from beneath the table, wrapped in a big red bow. Derpy grinned.
"A present? Oh, Mom, thank you."
Dinky thought her mom was going a bit overboard, but a gift is a gift. Maybe it was that pretty hat from Rarities she'd been asking for. Dinky tore open the box at lightning speed. It wasn't a hat. Inside was a beautifully framed photo of Dinky and her mother. It was one of the set of family photos Derpy had insisted they should have taken professionally a week before. The two of them had gotten all dressed up in their nicest outfits, and Fluttershy had called in a favor to get Photo Finish herself to take the pictures. The frame was the expensive kind, too, with professional engraving on the bottom. The inscription read, "Today, tomorrow, and forever." Dinky had thought it strange at the time that her mom was suddenly so interested in photos, but shrugged it off. But now, between the photos, the frame, and the sudden party, Dinky looked up at her mother.
"Mom, if there's something you need to tell me..."
With a smile, Derpy put her hoof gently up to her daughter's mouth.
"For you, my muffin,"
she said.
Always for you."
Derpy's voice was shaking. She kept smiling.
"What?"
Dinky shook her head and put the photos on the table.
"Mommy, what's wrong?" "Brightness,"
said Derpy, still smiling.
"Gleeful days in Pepperland."
She pointed up at the ceiling. That was when Dinky noticed the banner. She gasped. The banner hadn't been draped in a visible area like a normal one. Derpy, for whatever reason, had used it to cover the whole ceiling, so it couldn't be seen unless one looked straight up. In giant gold letters, obviously written by Derpy, it read,
"Happy birthday, my muffin." "Mom,"
said Dinky, her tone suddenly fearful.
"My birthday isn't for 4 months."
Derpy nodded.
"Every day,"
she said.
"Every day forever."
She sniffed. She was still smiling.
No, you're hiding something,"
said Dinky.
"This is really weird, Mom, even for you."
She ran past her mother into the kitchen.
"Suspenders, interlope with care,"
said Derpy, trying to run after her. In her haste, she tripped and fell, crashing to the floor. By the time she got up and ran into the kitchen, it was too late. Dinky stood there, a look of utter shock on her face. There was a letter on the ground in front of her. Derpy ran up to her daughter and hugged her.
"Is this true, Mom?"
Dinky asked.
It's a joke, right?"
The letter was dated 2 weeks earlier. It read, "Miss Hooves, we have considered your appeal and it is denied. While it is clear that you intend no harm toward Dinky, it is the decision of this committee that your unique mental situation renders you unfit to raise a foal. Thus, we regret to inform you that the Equestrian Foal Protective Agency has decided to remove Dinky from your care and place her in a foster home. We feel that this is the best course of action for her continued development. An agent will come to take Dinky at 6 p.m. 2 weeks from today. Please be aware that any attempt to prevent this removal from occurring will be considered kidnapping and prosecuted as such. We hope you understand that everything we do now is in Dinky's best interest. Sincerely, Autumn Scamper, Committee President, Equestrian Foal Protective Agency." Dinky was shaking. With tremendous dread, she turned back and looked at the kitchen clock. It was 2 minutes to 6. Dinky turned back to her mother.
"No, Mommy, please, you can fly. Pick me up. We can fly away. Right now. Let's go."
Derpy shook her head. She kept holding on to her daughter.
Or we can call someone. Maybe Twilight can use her magic to make us invisible, or Rarity can give us disguises, right? Mommy, Mommy, please say something."
Derpy kissed her daughter on the top of her head.
"Sandwiches and turpentine,"
Derpy said, fighting back sobs.
wooden ducks and Muffin, you... Mom? I can't...
There was a knock at the door.
Mom! Can't be...
Another knock.
Mom, please! Can't be normal.
Derpy said. Derpy let go of her daughter and began walking to the door.
Mom, no, stop!
Dinky ran after her, so Derpy flew far faster than Dinky could ever hope to go. She opened the door. "Good evening, Miss Hooves," said a tan unicorn with glasses and a red leaf for a cutie mark. "I'm sorry, but it's time." Derpy said nothing but gestured for the unicorn to come inside. "Dinky," the tan unicorn called out, "are you here?" There was no answer. The tan unicorn concentrated for a moment and her horn lit up. Seconds later, a faint glow appeared from the kitchen. "Ah," she said. "There you are. It's okay, sweetheart. I promise I'm not here to hurt you." Dinky dashed out of the kitchen past the unicorn and embraced her mother.
Mommy, please!
She said,
"Don't let her take me! I don't care if you're weird! I don't care if you talk funny! You're my mom! You're my mom!"
Derpy didn't say anything, but Dinky felt her mother embrace her, and everything was okay. Things were going to be all right. She was sure of it. Dinky felt safe, and so calm, and so peaceful. Derpy gently placed Dinky's sleeping form on the floor. The unicorn walked up to her. "I'm sorry I had to use a sleep spell, but it's just easier this way. You understand." "Fried beehive." She looked down on the floor. "Muffin, love her. Promise," she said, and then looked up at the unicorn. "Love her. For me." "Don't worry," said the unicorn. "Dinky will be all right." "Promise," said Derpy. "I promise," said the unicorn. "Thank you for your cooperation, Miss Hooves." The unicorn magically lifted the sleeping Dinky onto her back and began walking out. Just then, Derpy dashed into the dining room shouting, "Red light!" as she went. A moment later she was back carrying something in her mouth. She gently placed the framed photo of herself and Dinky in her sleeping daughter's arms. Then she kissed her daughter on the tip of her nose and stepped back. "Good night, Miss Hooves," said the unicorn. I'm sorry." Derpy turned away as the unicorn left with her daughter. Almost robotically, she walked into the dining room. In front of her were a table, 2 chairs, a half-eaten cake, and a banner, which wished her daughter a happy birthday. It was the emptiest room in the world.
"Dale's here,"
said Spike.
"Looks like your books arrived, Twilight." "Great,"
said Twilight, running down the stairs to Spike.
"How's Derpy? Did you find out why she took the day off?"
"Actually," said Spike,
"Derpy wasn't here. Rainbow Dash delivered the mail today. She said the Pegasus ponies are taking turns delivering it until a new mail carrier is chosen." "Wait, what?" "Yeah," said Spike. "Derpy quit this morning. It looks like she walked into the mayor's office with a resignation letter and then just flew out of town." "That's so unlike her," said Twilight. "What could have happened?"
Dinky Daybreak was a perfectly normal, happy little unicorn. She was just beginning to learn magic and was popular with all the other ponies in her school in Coltsburg. Since moving there a year ago, she had made many friends and proved to be an excellent student. There was even talk of her skipping ahead a grade next year. There was one peculiar thing about her. Every day, Dinky would leave school the second the bell rang. She never walked home with her friends, and she never stayed to talk to the teachers. Instead, she dashed home as fast as her little hooves could carry her, and waited patiently at the mailbox. On this particular day, Express, the town's mail pony, handed her the mail like he always did. She thanked him cheerfully and skipped inside. As was her custom, she placed the mail on the kitchen table, except for one thing, a single postcard. This she then took into her room, careful not to let her parents see. There, she opened her dresser drawer and took out a neatly stacked set of postcards. There was one for each day since she had come to Coltsburg, and they came from different places all over Equestria. On the back of each one was a poem, a different one for each day. Dinky took out her favorite card, the very first one she'd ever received, and read it aloud.
"I wish I could be someone as wonderful as you. I wish I could speak clearly, and make sure every pony knew how greatly I adore you, how everything I've done was just so I could give you your own moment in the sun. I wish I could be clever. I wish I could be wise. I wish there was a way I could fix these funny eyes. But my fondest wish is greater than every one before, and that's for a bright future for the muffin I adore. So please don't cry, my dearest. Don't worry about me. Just be the brilliant pony I've always known you to be. The only thing I ask of you, for whom I'll always pine, please, please, please don't forget me. That way you'll always be mine.
Dinky wiped away a tear and placed the newest postcard at the top of the stack. She would read it that night just before bed, like she always did. "Dinky," came a voice from downstairs. "Do you want to go out and get ice cream?"
Be right there, Dad,
she yelled back. Before leaving the room, she turned to a framed picture on her nightstand.
See you later, Mommy,
she said. Her eyes passed over the inscription. It was like a silent answer. Dinky Daybreak was a perfectly normal, happy little unicorn. And that was Today, Tomorrow, and Forever, guys. That was Reader's Pick number 1. Next week, I will give you one of the other two, though how much I don't know, because both are more than one chapter. We shall find out. This is VozDeSuenos signing off. Safe travels, every pony.